So this video is about solving equations, and as discussed, we have a few steps to solve equations. The first is to simplify each side of the equation. You're going to use your orders of operation for this, and which is parentheses or grouping symbols, your exponents, multiplication and division from left to right, and addition and subtraction from left to right. Your second step will be to isolate the variable term to one side of the equation. It doesn't matter if you move it to the left side or the right side, just as long as you can isolate it, get it all by itself. Okay, so you're isolating the variable term, so you might have a coefficient with that variable, which is totally fine, because we'll take care of that in step 3 when we're actually solving. Okay, so step 2, when we're isolating that variable term, you're going to be adding and subtracting like terms to do that. And then in step 3, you're going to be using multiplication or division. So I'm going to use a few of the problems that were on the worksheet that I assigned to you guys today. And if you don't have that worksheet, then you can just write these problems down and see how we go about solving them. Okay, so the first is this problem here. It's -2 times -2 plus x equals 18. And if you're looking at the worksheet, it is problem number 7. Okay, so my first step is going to be to simplify each side of the equation. And on the left side, I see that I have a set of parentheses, but within those parentheses, I can't combine the -2 and the x. So I'm going to distribute. I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to distribute this -2 across my parentheses. So I have -2 times -2 plus -2 times x, and that equals 18. Okay, so I still need to work on my left side of the equation. So -2 times -2 is a positive 4, and -2 times x is a -2x, and this equals 18. And I can rewrite this as 4 minus 2x equals 18. Okay, so I have completed step 1. Now step 2 is to isolate my variable to one side of my equation. And isolating it means I need to get it by itself. So if I circle my variable term here, if I circle this term, I can see that I have a 4 on the same side of my equation. And I need to move that 4 from the left side of my equation to the right side of my equation. And I do that by using the inverse operation. So currently, this 4 is a positive 4. So if I want to cancel it, I need to do the opposite. So I'm going to subtract 4 from each side of my equation. And when I do that, 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm left with -2x equals positive 14. Now, I have completed step 2. I've isolated my variable term to one side of my equation. So now step 3, I need to solve for my variable. So to solve for my variable, I am going to either multiply or divide. I need to see what I'm currently doing. So I have -2 times x equals 14. So if I want to determine what x is, I have to divide both sides by my numerical coefficient of x. So my numerical coefficient is -2, so I'm going to divide both sides of my equation by -2. When I do that, -2 divided by -2 is simply 1. So I have 1x, or x, equals, and 14 divided by -2 is -7. So my answer would be -7. And I can check my work, and I would highly, highly, highly suggest that you add a 4th step, which would be to check. Okay, we can check by substituting our answer back into our original equation and seeing, does my left side equal my right side? So let's verify. If I substitute this in, I have -2 times -2 plus x equals 18. So I'm going to substitute this -7 for my x. So I have -2 times -2 plus a -7. Now within my parentheses, -2 plus -7 is a -9. And -9 times a -2 is a positive 18. So 18 equals 18. So I know I have the correct answer here. Okay, so problem number 16. Step 1, simplify each side of my equation. So I currently have 11 plus a plus 2a equals 1 plus 5a. Now if I look at this, my numerical coefficient right here, I can't see it, but we assume there's always a 1. There's always a 1. Okay, so if there's no number in front of it, there's a 1 there. And you can write that 1 if you need to, or you can just know that there's a 1 and treat it as a 1. So we have 11 plus 1a plus 2a. And if I want to combine the like terms or simplify each side of my equation, I can combine 1a plus 2a, and I would get 3a. So I have 11 plus 3a equals 1 plus 5a. Now, I've finished step 1, that's great. I've simplified each side of my equation, but now I need to isolate my variable term to one side. And I currently have variables on both sides of my equation. Okay, so I need to move my variables to one side. And I can do that by addition and subtraction. You want to do the inverse operation. So currently I have 11 plus 3a, and if I want to move this positive 3a to my right side of my equation, I have to do the opposite. I'm adding it, so I need to subtract it. So I have minus 3a from each side. So that leaves me with 11 equals, because positive 3a minus 3a, those cancel, equals 1 plus, and what is 5a, positive 5a minus 3a? It would be a positive 2a. Okay. Now, I haven't isolated my variable term. I've got this positive 2a here, but I need to move whatever's on the same side of my equation. So I need to move this positive 1. And in order to move that positive 1, I'm going to have to subtract 1 from each side. When I subtract 1, I have 11 minus 1, which is 10. 1 minus 1, those are going to cancel, so I have 10 equals to 2a. Step 2 is complete. Now, step 3. Step 3 is to solve for my variable. Currently, I'm multiplying 2 times a, and I know that equals 10. So I have to divide both sides by 2, and I would get that 5 equals a. Okay, so I have now solved for my variable. That's great. I would rewrite this as a equals 5 because we don't tend to. We read from left to right, so having your variable on the left side is ideal. Now, if you want to know if your answer is right, you can substitute it into our equation and check. Okay, so let's do that. Let's check. We're going to do lime green here. Okay, so we're going to check. We've got 11 plus a plus 2a equals 1 plus 5a. And we're going to substitute a 5 in for our a's. So we have 11 plus 5 plus 2 times 5. And does that equal 1 plus 5 times 5? Well, we've got 11 plus 5 plus 10. And 11 plus 5 is 16, and 16 plus 10 is 26. So that's our left side. And our right side, we have 1 plus 25, which is 26. And 26 equals 26, so I know my answer is correct.